Here.
You've been living here.
I've been living here for 2 years.
Oh, I know that, but we were going back to Atlanta.
I'm going back to finally get my house on the market.
Okay.
So I'm getting the real estate agent next week and that'll be done.
Wow. The big step, huh?
Oh, I can't wait. Howdy.
Hey.
Okay, your license plate yet?
Not until September. It takes a few months. What is it?
Good luck. The first time we've gotten to go.
Oh,
We
really?
always have company or something.
know.
Did you at our house?
It's been a long time since.
It was expensive.
Let's see.
Doing the registering the car.
Well, it is time. Shall we begin?
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, would you please call the roll?
Tony Eaton,
Here.
Sean Platt, Cindy Neely. Here. Betsy Blakesley. Here. Steve Crossan. Mark Reynolds.
Present.
Bob Hamilton. Frank Ganzer. Here.
Okay, can we get approval of the agenda? Did you take my?
No, it's the box agenda. You need one?
I think we did.
Oh, okay. Sorry, in the door with the agenda.
Okay. You can have it.
No, that's all right, here.
I can use Mark.
He said he wouldn't be here today.
Okay, I thought I was driving the other day and I just didn't see him.
Yeah, he's been here the last, you're not here.
Okay, good. Okay. Approval of the agenda, everybody?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
All Cindy, you got anything?
Right.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Sure.
A total of eight.
It would be you if there was, okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
All right. No audience business. So we'll move on to ordinance number 6. Review of proposed ordinance.
Okay, if I may, I think you all have it in front of you. And this is what we talked about in order to establish a local designation, process. So that people who are not otherwise designated might and have a structure that meets the requirements of a local designation could ask to be designated, and I would point out that one of the first ones in line is Mr. Hamilton's not here, but is going to be the Catholic Church. And for good reason. The reason that this kind of designation is helpful is that it makes them eligible for, and I think this, we ought to note that it makes them eligible for state historic fund granting and for historic tax credits. And right now we are finishing a expanded National Registry District, which will be on our next agenda, but it only extends to 1929. And actually, what the law says is that anything over 50 years old can be considered historic, which means that the date of buildings that could ask to be on a register is anything that is built before, at this point, 1975. Really old.
Well, that makes me.
You are not have historic buildings. You know, I mean, that's a historic area in a sense, you know?
That one there was built by old Mark Reynolds.
Back
Back in the 70s.
Yeah, but I think that we should, that should be noted that there is a cutoff date, an automatic cutoff date that changes every single year. And with, according to the Federal Register of Places, it's 15 years. And so this essentially gives the buildings that are someplace between 1929 and 1950 a chance to raise their hands and say, hey, we'd like to be considered a historic structure for a variety of reasons. If you look at this thing, under the first section of it, the first section goes into, the purpose of why we would want to do this protecting and enhancing. And the last of those purposes, cooperating with state and federal historic preservation efforts is probably, it's on the back of that first page. And then the definitions, I think the definition are, I think he finished the definition. Some copy, because this one has no definitions.
Yeah,
So obviously we have to finish the definitions. But what we need to look at is the thing called eligibility criteria. Because when it comes to us, these are the things that we would have to decide on. The numbering is interesting here to me too. I don't know why we start with 5.
well, up above, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 in the first.
Yeah.
section.
Yes, yeah, I understand that, but this is a different subject.
Yeah, true. And then well, that's under A even, so yeah, those should probably be 1.
Yes, they should, but, we will get to the numbering game. But yeah, an association with events, connections with people are significant. Distinctive characteristics of the type, period, and method of construction. We have some interesting, Swiss chalet revival kind of period things. We've got a couple of mid-century moderns that are hanging out, it's that's what the characteristics would be. Geographic importance or possibility to yield important information related to prehistory or history. And in a sense, the Catholic Church fits right into that because they are maintaining the history that's 100 years older than they're basically almost 100 years older than the outside of their building at this point. And a property may be exempted from the age if the board of selectmen finds it to be exceptionally important to other criteria. I would suspect we're just never going to use that.
That's gonna have to be
Because-
your example.
Yeah, it's well. And then, yes, it has to have physical. But that tells us, is everybody clear on those? And do you think
Yeah.
we have missed anything?
Sounds good.
Because you've got the history, you've got the architecture. And then the procedure is very similar to what we do. Obviously, there'll have to be a nomination form. That form gets stuck on our agenda. Just like, and these are the same kinds of rules that we have for anybody who applies for even a certificate of appropriateness. So it doesn't change the rule. Within 45 days after the application is deemed to be complete. The thing is, we're gonna have to have people really look at, is the application complete? Because the application is going to require a pretty good history of the building and some good photographs and some discussion of the eligibility criteria. Why are you eligible?
Yeah.
And we haven't really formed the application yet, that I know of. I don't think we've formed an application. But
I was thinking, would it be appropriate to use our eval forms as a model for the historic criteria?
I would prefer probably to grab a regular nomination form to a National Register site.
Okay.
And pare it down to us. And the reason for that is that if the person after a while wants to take the next step.
Mhm.
And wants to be on a state register,
They have that already.
they have that already. You've lined them up.
Yeah.
I mean, if we stay in a parallel procedure to all the registers that are above us, if anybody wants to move along, we'll register game. I mean, that's what's really helpful about the state register. If you get through the state register, you have virtually almost done a national register application. So now we become the first step for somebody to get to a longer process. That's why I would stick with that location, and we do have those around someplace. But this for designation hearing stuff is the same thing. You know, it has to go on our agenda has to be posted, we have to do it in a timely manner. There's nothing really new and different about that.
Okay.
And then. We hold a hearing. And review the application in regard to these criteria, just like we reviewed in regard to other criteria for our. So it's really. And then it has to go to the board of selectmen.
Oh, interesting.
So what we're really doing is recommending to a board of selectmen that they go ahead and approve what we've said. But theirs is the final approval.
So would the board of selectmen ever get a,
They can't get an application directly to them.
okay,
The application come to us first,
okay.
and they have to go through us, and we have to recommend it then to the board.
But if we don't recommend something.
Then
Well, it wouldn't go to the board of selectmen.
It would still go. to
it would still go to the board of selectmen, but if we're saying to them, don't do this because it does not meet these criteria, I would hope that our board would listen to us. That might not always be the case.
Yeah, so it's odd that they're the determining factor finally.
But
So they're the final say on it?
yes, they are the final say on it. But actually, but you see, they're supposed to review it for conformance with this chapter, and if they had sat there and said it does not
Yeah.
fit any of the eligibility things, I don't see how you go.
Yeah.
I think the first ones are gonna be hardest because I think we should require a fair amount of detail in regard to both the history and the architectural descriptions, et cetera. I mean, this is nice and this is pretty, it's not gonna make it old. Yeah,
It's all-
it's old and old people live here. Getting older every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with, the recommendation, who's the I in this case, Casey, you know, who canceled out that appeal? To our denial?
Here,
Yeah, because what this really is this is how Lake City does it, and, you know, when we read everybody's, there seems to be, yeah, I would get rid of that too. Because it's gonna go to the board of selectmen anyway, so it's not, the board of selectmen won't hear it. And then they will maintain a record of it, and in our, a record of, you know, in our books or on our computers, wherever you keep it. We have a record of structures that are considered contributing and with what they're considered contributing to. Because we're going to add 8 of them. That are contributing not to an NHL, but to a National Register district, and so we can have some that are Georgetown. That just simply say, what are we calling it? GHR, Georgetown Historic Register. So are there questions, anything you see that you really don't like, anything you see that are thoroughly left out, or,
It'll be really interesting to go through this with somebody.
I did include Jerry's email that was attached with this, so you guys can look at that as well.
yeah, the owner can apply for these and the DRC can
The DRC can also.
start. It can start one, it can say that structure ought to be considered. I think we then have to get a hold of the owner, but.
Do you have to have consent from the owner to do that?
It doesn't say we do, and so I'd leave it alone. But to be polite, would we? I would hope so.
That was a big question that I've been getting from like the board was, you know, is this gonna automatically enroll people? And people are pretty opposed to that idea. They wanna
Well,
go.
what's funny is, of course, becoming a natural landmark district automatically enrolled. 243 structures in this town. And nobody asked.
Well, I can't think what the objection would be if your house was gonna be.
No, and so, but the ordinance at this moment does not.
There's no automatic in it.
Well, there's no the fact that, as a matter of fact, the ordinance doesn't state. The draft provides both the owner of, where does it provide that?
Well, there's a part where it was saying that. Who could make the application? It wasn't necessarily the owner. It can be
Okay.
nominated by someone else.
It's, all right, on B, under 1710-040 on the back of that page, nomination may be made by the owners of the property or properties or members of the design review commission. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that if we said, you know, with permission of the owners. I mean, at this point, because we're talking about. We're talking about a one by one,
Yeah,
not a.
Mhm.
and I know people who would be really mad about that if we did nominate their building, they would, so. There's people who would like to take their building off of the historic district, and I'm like, too bad, but.
Yeah, they don't gain anything. No, actually, they don't, and yeah, I don't think they understand what the usefulness can be. But anyway, so if we wanna mention that, under B, 17. So our recommendation is that 1740. 17.10.040 the, it can be the owners of the property or members of the design with owner
Notification,
permission.
they have to give us permission.
Yes, I think the owner has to give permission.
That doesn't sound right.
Or
I don't think it'll pass without that,
Really?
yeah.
Just owner's approval.
with owner's approval, yeah,
Yeah.
not permission.
Yeah.
Permission is not the right word, but owner approval. The owner's have
Hello,
approval.
controlling.
Okay, so that will be, we will make that note, when it goes to the board of selection. Member of the design committee group, or members of the design with owner approval, or other interested from the person with permission from the property owner. What is sort of silly to me, Adrian, what you say is all structures come to design review, whether they're labeled historic or not.
Yes,
The only thing that this designation does is make you eligible for money. So
would
I
this
wonder,
subject them to the demolition by neglect ordinance?
I think,
yes,
yeah,
So that's the thing that's the additional requirements that it would prevent them from demoing their building if they want us to do that.
no, they can't demo it anyway if it's historic.
yeah, but they can't demo anything without coming in. And we have never issued a demolition permit.
Right, but we have the right to issue a demolition permit for buildings that are contributing. We don't have that right for buildings that aren't contributing, and if we add these buildings to that.
Wait, what you're not hearing, no matter what age your building is, if you want to demolish it, you have to get a permit from us to demolish it.
And we don't demolish
And we
contributing
don't
structures.
demolish anything.
We demolish some things.
I mean, nothing,
Yeah, but
And
yeah,
we also, things like
well,
the Crazy Horse, for example.
if it came here, probably could get a permit from us to be demolished.
Right.
If something was in quite that condition, who knows, a historic building might be able to also. We don't have them in that condition.
Right, but
But
for
that's-
the Crazy Horse, for example,
Yeah.
we can't do the demolition by neglect ordinance on that building because it's not
That's
contributing.
correct.
We cannot go in and fix it ourselves and force them to pay for it.
mhm.
This designation would put people on the list that gives us that right to go and fix stuff on our own. And not that we've ever done that, but we could, and then force them to pay for it.
This doesn't make it contributing though.
No, it does not make.
No, it just makes it,
It doesn't make
They
it
get-
contributing to the NHL.
Right.
It's an independent
But would it
register.
make it contributing so that it would be subject to the demolition?
I don't know, is the answer to that.
Well,
I
my
don't know,
question is,
because
who,
I don't
who
know
was
if it-
worried that somebody would make them fix their house before it fell down is my question, you know, if your house is in that bad shape.
There's people in this town who don't care about their.
I understand that, I, well aware.
Doesn't have house fixing money.
Well, and but we do, that's the thing, you know, we got some bucks.
Yeah, but if they put it and they don't pay us back, we get their house, which is kind of dramatic, so.
Well, eventually, maybe. No, you don't. They
No.
can sell it and just pay the lien with whatever they sell it.
Well, then someone else gets their house, but you know, they don't get to keep it.
Well, we
They
did,
don't pay
we
us
did
back.
talk about using some of that money on buildings where it was something that there was enough interest that we wanna save it. And not so much
Yeah,
about
but
putting a lien on it,
that's
'cause-
project 3.
Yeah.
This is project 1 and 2.
yeah, okay.
No, actually, that's project 4. Yeah,
Okay, well,
yes,
this sounds like
that one's
somebody
not
looking for a
forgotten.
fight to me,
Because
I'm
yes, we
sorry.
do have to help with the demolition by neglect
Yeah.
in some cases, we
Yeah.
do have to help with it because that's, yeah, because it's financial hardship, and especially when it's outbuildings.
Yeah.
And not prime buildings, so yes, I do understand that, but in general, you know. Anything that's demolished, and yes, we have granted some sheds being demolished and some this being demolished, but anything counts. And if the crazy horse showed up and said they needed to be demolished, I think we wouldn't have any problem.
We'd all bring our hammers.
I'm not sure I want it.
Really? Isn't there something in there
Yes,
that's,
there is.
well, could we leave that?
Yep.
Is it a log building?
There's 3 log buildings.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's one of the original staples in Georgetown.
Yeah.
Abrahamson family was involved with way back.
way
Well,
back,
I'd be for uncovering all that, you know, no telling what shape it's in, although it's been under a roof, right?
But anyway,
No, that's another day.
discussion for another day.
yeah, the
Okay.
site has. Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
And the cabin behind Bowman White was just there too, and what's their names gave it to us. Anyway.
The only way somebody
but
gets on
on
this list
on
is if
this
they
one,
choose.
we're saying that the owner
Yeah,
would.
and I think that's more appropriate in all cases. We want.
In all
owners to
cases, somebody
decide.
has to choose to get on this list.
Yeah, we want owners on this list who are gonna maintain their home and are excited about the history.
Yeah.
There's no automatic,
So with owner approval is fine, I
Right.
think, and so we will recommend in our little note to the Board of Selectmen. When they discuss this at their meeting, that they change that paragraph and add that. Is there anything else that we can see that we want to?
Just the numbers on that second page that are,
Yes, renumber it properly.
missing definitions.
We need definition.
Yeah,
We need
definitions.
definitions, yes, and we need to number the eligibility criteria, please. As a matter of fact, if we were going to model after the others, they wouldn't be numbers, they would be letters. Criteria A or criteria B or criteria C, yeah, you'll see them all on the National Register District thing. This is criteria A because.
okay,
All right, who can apply for the designation? Okay, definition of what a historic, yeah, we don't.
Doesn't have to be.
Under the definitions, historic district, Georgetown Historic District. We can't just say historic district, because now we have to do it. Under definitions. I should say Georgetown Historic District shall mean and include, any structures. After 2029, 1929. 50 years of age. Go after 1929. Because the structures we picked up in the new NRD are up to 1929. So shall mean any structures 50 years age. Built. After 1921.
You wanna add Georgetown in front of the historic
Yes,
district,
I-
or as part of the definition of it?
No, I wanna add it in front of. Cause we gotta get used to saying, are we in the Georgetown Historic District or the National Register District or the Landmark District? Cause we've got three of them.
Woo, let's
Well, the
make it
Landmark
better.
District has most protection. On a federal.
We would wanna put something like within the corporate boundaries of the town of Georgetown.
Hmm,
No,
No?
because why couldn't it be within the Landmark District? Which are not the corporate boundaries of town church.
Right, but we as a CLG don't have jurisdiction over anything outside the corporate boundary, right?
Well, yes, and we don't have jurisdiction, no. We have common right and et cetera for everything in the Landmark District. Yeah, well, we have a relationship with the federal agencies, even outside the boundaries of this town. And that's something that at this moment, I'm not sure that our CLG coordinator knows where our landmark boundaries are.
If this is going to the board of selectmen though, and something was outside of the town boundaries, would that be appropriate?
No, it wouldn't. This is the Georgetown district, so yes, I would say we can bound to it. It's an interesting question though, because of all of the Excel decommissioning that is outside of our boundaries.
If it's not in one district, it's in another one.
Yes, it is not one
It is
district.
a one district.
It's another.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. I just wasn't there to see that. And it's getting to be a little negative, but it's. All right, and definition of what is to. Well, we just defined the time. And property, what's your property mean? Anything you own? No, it's,
Well, so is it gonna be a building, a site,
it can be, being included, structure or site.
Would an accessory building be eligible?
Yes, construction. An accessory building could be eligible, and so could a mine entrance. Because that's the site. I mean, if you're sitting on the entrance to the Griffith mine and it hasn't shown up any place, or even if you're sitting on the entrance to a later mine. That is, you know, relative to the little mini boom that we did between the two wars.
well, you could even say some of the stone walls and cribbings and things that are
Yes.
still around too.
Yeah, yes, you could, so they could be structures, site. And honors shall mean honors.
That's a legal thing, right?
Yes, it's, you have title to it. Title holder. So we have comments on the definition.
Well, if it's a site, who's got title to it? The town?
Should we say the lot? The legal title holder of the lot?
Well, property,
No, the owner means the legal, the title holder to the property in question.
are those your tissues? No, do you like one?
I would love one.
Oh, you asked too late. You said.
What?
Usually I have somebody who's cleaned that first
I
out.
need a pen anyway. Okay. My first pen disappeared.
I guess I can't have them. Put letters in front of the eligibility criteria, it's just, it gets so used to what the feds do, that. The state does the same thing because the feds do it.
Well, we're short on it. We
If
don't have to
if
be.
you are on the register because of A, you know, you have made a significant, you know, you had a big event. And if you're on there because of B, you're on there because of a person, I mean, you can get used to it.
Well, the formatting's weird because the capital letters are missing
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we had capital letters, then you could have little a, little
Because
b.
usually it starts with capital letters and goes numbers and goes little letters.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
the formatting is different than normal.
yes.
Gee, I just stopped the whole proceedings to get a tissue. That's
You
not
did,
it.
yeah.
Susan's still
All
here,
right,
so.
what is,
We need a break.
what else is he saying? Criteria, you're the expert here. I did not edit much other than explore the organization. Yeah, I mean, strangely, under the criteria, if you can do them A, B, C, D, and E, it would be very helpful. Because it does associate with all of the other kinds of forms you're ever gonna see about history, so.
So you want
But
that?
yes, it's number 5 is criteria A, and then it's B, and then it's C, and then it's D, and it's E.
So you wanna swap? You wanna swap the numbering there under 171030?
Yes, for capital letters, not little letters, capital letters. And you will see, but, well, you know, you see on all those signs, it's the plan then.
Really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amendments to a designation. Okay, move on it.
Do we skip a page, or are you doing the 171050 and 171060?
I didn't know that we're. Yeah, and then you review, purpose review, the established criteria, and when. That forth in writing,
Oh, well,
it doesn't say that we can amend it, except that in the whole process of it. We can talk with the person and you can continue the hearing. So if we're saying something needs to be. I mean, I don't know that we need to call it out, that seems to me to be building the process. If we look at something and say it's sort of incomplete, then we just extend the hearing and extend the thing to the next time.
Well, if there's just one question that needs to be answered or something, you know, and the person is there,
Yeah, we can
you
do
can
it.
clarify it. But if it's very incomplete, needs to be brought back, you know, then that would be a resubmittal.
My understanding of that part was that if somebody, say we designated a structure and then like 5 years later. We discover something new, I don't know, and they wanna come back and amend the designation in some way. Will they need to go through the entire process again?
There is no process here for,
That's true.
well, if they want a minute,
It's
they
just another
resubmit.
application.
They have to
Yeah.
just-
yeah,
If it's denied, then they have to wait a year, I think, was what I saw.
So you're recommending that we remove that section?
It says though that very upfront, we will renew an application before we actually have a hearing. If you're at 1710-040C at the top of the second page, applications will be reviewed for completeness by the DRC, so the first time we see it. What we should really be doing is just reviewing it and if there's anything incomplete, just shove it back. And that's not the official hearing. Then. Within 45 days, after it's determined to be complete, so they've got a chance to get it complete up front. And then you come back to the official hearing, so it's as though you've built in a preliminary review.
So then there really should not be an amendment of designation later,
No.
if we've done
Now,
that.
then if you find.
I think
and
the
if you wanna
amendment
add
is-
something to the record, you add it to the record.
Yeah, I think the amendment is if you want to add something later after it's been approved.
Yeah,
I think that's-
then you
that's-
add it to the record, that's not, I don't think that gets to it. And,
So leave it, because it's basically saying, if you wanna add something, you gotta do the whole process again.
No,
no,
It
no,
says under the procedures prescribed here about, that's how you add or change it.
where are you?
1710-100.
1710. 100.
It's on the signature page.
Last page, huh? Amendment, okay. Yeah, designation, yeah, she come back and you start, you discuss it with the board, and then you make an application to do it. Yeah, I don't think that, yes, I think that's fine. What I don't understand is the revocation of, that we're not gonna revoke the district. If a historic property or historic district has been altered, but people are not gonna come in to create districts, we're not creating districts.
True, so we can take out the or historic.
Or historic district, yes. Has been altered, the degree no longer, the owner may apply for revocation, or the DRC may recommend a revocation.
Oh, none of that makes sense to me, because wouldn't they have to come in if they're gonna make any changes?
Yes,
Would we give them permission to make it,
No.
worse? Yeah.
Fire.
but.
If there's a fire or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Fire or what
Yeah.
have you.
But still, they would be under our guidelines for rebuilding or whatever, so
Yeah, but,
if it was a new structure after a fire, then it would not fit the historic.
Right.
Okay.
yeah. And so the owner can come and say, yeah, I got, the designation's gotta disappear, so I think that one has to. And we're agreeing with Jerry to get rid of the appeals denials. Under 1710-08. Oh. So, oh, that's fine. Yeah, and the title of the chapter I made it Georgetown Historic Register. Yeah, I would do that in the title. It's not in the title at the moment. Section 1 says it's entitled Town Historic Register.
Oh, he actually sent me an updated copy that added Town of Georgetown Historic Register. But that was the only change that I.
I would just call it Georgetown Historic Register, not Town of Georgetown Historic Register. That's
There's an outfit.
The town of Georgetown town.
Our email tonight.
Yes.
It is.
It is, I agree.
There's so many
Application
other
form, no, we don't have, this doesn't give us an application form yet. We haven't made an application form yet. We have, but because Bob was working on one for the church, but we haven't approved an application form yet. I don't think we're being asked to do that at this moment. If we don't have it in front of us. So I don't think we're being asked to approve the application form, and I'm not sure that the Board of Selectmen has to approve the application form. So these are just our notes to the Board of Selectmen on the ordinance.
Typically, the forms are stacked, we have a little discretion there, but I like to show you guys the forms I did for the ERC, but.
No, but we need an application form, so it's going to look like the one that Bob's messing around with. It's gonna look like a traditional historic register application form where you get to explain how you relate to all the criteria. And do your histories and whatever. And I think that Bob's gonna very nicely provide us with a beautiful sample to start with.
All right.
That we can hand to people in the future and say, this is the way you do it. This is how you do it. Okay, Paige, will you write up these, and let us see them so they can go to the board meeting on whatever it is in August?
The 12th will be the first hearing, and then the 26th is the second hearing, so. I'll get this to you before the 12th, so you guys can provide any comments
Okay.
before we you know, even if I don't get it in the packet, we'll have it, the 26th will be the final read, so.
But they should have these changes before they see it.
The board will have these changes before they see it on the 12th. I'm gonna send it to you as well. If you have any additional comments after that, I can include them in the second version that they read for the 20th.
Okay, so we should have a piece of paper that says, these are the DOC's, you know,
Amendments, yeah.
so, yeah, if you could get that around to us so that we know whether
Yeah.
it's everything that we think it was.
So the notes I have are edit the numbering so it conforms to our normal numbering. Except for the criteria which you want to match the National Register form.
Yeah, which just means that you're putting capital letters in it.
And then add with owner approval to 1720-040. For 1710-020, which is definitions, I have for the Georgetown Historic, to add Georgetown in front of Historic District. And say any structure 50 years of age built after 1929 within the corporate boundaries of the town of Georgetown. For property, I have any structure or site within the town of Georgetown. Owners, I have the legal title holder to the property in question. And then under criteria, like we said, capital letter numbering in conjunction with the appropriate forms. 1710-110, we're gonna remove or historic district. From the revocation section. And then under section 1, we're gonna say Georgetown Historic Register. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think you
Bravo.
said that, bravo, yes, I think that, we somehow have to let Jerry know that these are the DOC's suggestions for the meeting, so he knows that the DOC has done a review. So are you gonna write to Jerry or am I writing to Jerry?
I can write to Jerry. I have all these.
And will you copy us, please?
Yes.
All right, that would be fabulous. Thank you folks for getting on the register, which is so cool.
Yeah.
All right, second item on our agenda.
So we have a letter to FERC.
Yes, FERC has, not FERC, Excel has applied to FERC to have a special variance to their decommissioning in order to create a bypass around the reservoir, which means they're gonna put in two, 4-foot diameter big tubes, that run the length of the reservoir so they can grab the creek and just shove the creek around the reservoir while they're cleaning up the reservoir and taking out the dam. If you want a picture, I brought a picture. You know, and I'll pass it around. This is our reservoir, this is our dam, and they're putting these pipes in, so when the creek comes down, the creek goes in the pipes and drops down on the other side of the pipes and on the other side of the dam. Right on HCI's land, but that's small, only a small problem that nobody's addressing. But that's that, the question, the reason that this is coming to us, this is a section 106 question. We, as the certified local government, acting in our role as the certified local government for federal actions within our landmark district. And at that case, the federal government views us as the only certified local government in this landmark district. So they pretty much send us everything that has to do with anything in the landmark district. And so that's why this issue comes to us. We've done a lot of 106 stuff over the years of what do we think about, you know, about CDOT, done a bunch of stuff down by the you know, and we've done other ones for Excel too. We did it on the alarm system. Yeah, where are you gonna put those poles? If you remember that one, you know, we've done a number of 106. So this essentially is a section 106 request. And I would personally like to indicate that as a certified local government. We applaud the idea of doing the bypass tubes. Because without them, getting that dam out of there is gonna bring a lot of sediment and sludge down on us. This is a really effective thing to do, and in that way, we can start our letter off very positively.
And they're just a temporary bypass, right?
Yes, temporary, probably
Yeah.
5 years.
Okay.
What is their long-term story?
Well, the long-term solution is you pull out the dam and you restore this creek bed coming through here. But the interesting part of it is it has a visual impact. Because through this whole thing comes right along the side of Grinnell Pass Road. So of course you're gonna put up a fence. Thank you, Mark. And so the other day I wrote to Brent because he's got all the stuff on his computer and I said, would you take a look at this fence? Their plans are 262 pages. You really don't want them.
For a fence.
I mean, I'm
Not
happy-
for everything.
I'm happy
Okay.
to send them
I
to
was
you,
gonna say that.
but you really don't want them. But Brent, what does the fence look like?
Basically a 6 foot high chain link fence that's coated in black vinyl.
Oh, this is coated in black.
Yeah, on their spec had black vinyl
Yeah.
over the chain link, so
And we feel
I'm sure they'll try to V that out, but that's what's in their spec. So,
that's in their specs and it's constructed in a fairly solid manner, yes?
it's just a regular chain link fence, so.
Yeah, but we figured they're gonna set it up something as more than temporary fencing.
Yeah. So is that to keep people?
It's chain link with posts in the
Oh,
ground.
yeah, the
Yeah, it's,
post in the ground, yes, I mean, we're not,
Maybe it looked like around Cabot Creek, only with black national.
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, and Cabot Creek's is brown now.
Is it?
Yeah, which is interesting, because they did that for us when they had to do the anyway. So I think that we also should say that we appreciate, because you're going to have 5 years of course people who, and this of course directly impacts a little thing called a heritage area of Silverdale, and it directly impacts all of that. So the other point I would make, the landmark district, and this is sort of a fun map of the landmark district, the landmark district's a dotted line, and it goes choop, 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 because it goes across the top of the dam.
Yep.
Goes right across the top of the dam. And it was a nice straight line until I needed to go down and go across the top of the dam and come back up. So essentially, one of the things they have to do is a thing called an area of potential effect for historic resources. And right now, our jurisdiction sort of goes up to where that dotted line is. However, as the only certified local government around, I think what we can say to them is that we would encourage them to, their current area of potential effect does take in the dam and it takes in a little bit of the lake down at the bottom here. We would encourage them to include the entirety of the area that is impacted by the bypass in their area of potential effect. Because while our landmark district might be at their dam, obviously mining, matter of fact, Morden didn't stop there. There was major mining in in the mountain across from Silverdale and through here. Also, there is a road that that all of us have noticed that looks like it drives right into the lake. That's the Snake River Wagon Road, it goes up over, up through the Waldorf, departing the Chicago Lake roads that go that way. So this reservoir has covered up a road bed, it's covered up other things that were in, it's not that emptying it's going to make them show up, but their area of potential effect should, so I'd like the letter to say, we think the bypass is a good idea. thank you for the color of the fence and for building a nice stable fence because we have lots of people who will be viewing it over the next 5 years. And we would very much encourage them to extend their area of potential effect on for cultural resources for the entirety of the bypass area.
We
Does
have
that,
a map that we can include so that that area is clearly delineated.
well, they have the best one, they know.
Yeah, they know.
They know, they really do know. And it was, what's interesting to me is in May of 24. The state wrote to them and said they submitted a report, this is the state's historic preservation office writing to Excel. Saying your area of potential effects is 100-foot wide corridor centered on the penstock. So they have 100-foot wide corridor running up the Rutherford Trail. And a 50-foot wide buffer around the Forebay Reservoir. But they're extending well beyond the reservoir in order to get all of this in, and but it says, however, it appears this APE is too narrow. To consider all possible ground disturbing activities. It also does not consider area other project activities may occur, such as lay down the yard, staging areas, access roads. Or does it account, nor does it account for the visual, atmospheric, or audible effects of reasonably foreseeable effects caused by this undertaking. So the state has already said to them, the APE, the area of potential effects is the large guys. So for us to reiterate that seems to me a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And the reason it's on this agenda, I can do up a draft of that one, and I think I would like to do up a draft of that one. I'll send it to everybody. It will come out under one of your signatures,
Sure.
both of your signatures. It
Cindy,
has to be submitted to FERC before August 7th, and so it's before our next meeting, so that's why we're on this meeting.
Are the tubes just like concrete? Are they metal? Are they covered?
They're not covered, they're huge, I mean, you consider 2 4-foot wide things that, what are big, what,
Are they
what
concrete?
material, no, they're not concrete, they're, what's that material that we make?
Fiberglass.
Yeah, there's some sort of thing.
I didn't look at that one.
So are they gonna be white then, or
I don't
I'm
know.
just wondering, you know?
Keep her going.
I know, I picture something we never anticipated.
Like everything.
Yeah, I think it's probably
Probably.
dark color, I haven't looked at that, though somewhere in that 262.
I'm sure it's in there, I just didn't look at that one.
Right, so it's lots of discussion, because it's not a flexible thing, there's lots of discussion. Because they said, well, we'll bring them up in 50-foot lengths.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, that'll be.
With the helicopter?
Yeah, with the helicopter.
Have they been up the road?
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of, you know, that was our friends.
Well, let me know, I
And
can
their
see that.
50-foot lengths of things, so I do think maybe you're not gonna do that. And then there was discussion, well, they were gonna essentially bring them down in 50-foot lengths and cut them in half. And at which means at some point they have to be asking for an area in town.
Mhm.
However, Excel sort of thinks they have all the rights in the world to our less than they're gonna discover they don't. You know, cut them in half and then bring them up there and put them back together. But the discussion has now evolved to, yes, maybe helicopters.
Wow.
Because helicopter, you know, they've moved I don't know if you've driven up there lately. The electrical lines used to run right alongside the reservoir, they've moved them across the road and up. So you could literally get a helicopter, and we did all the closures of mines on Republican Mountain out of helicopters. I mean, all of the stuff that we brought down was all helicopter.
And all the surveying built up.
Yeah, well, they do a lot of Excel does a lot.
Once a month usually.
Yeah, they have do a lot of helicopter work, so it wouldn't surprise them to see.
Just to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see them fly them in, which actually,
Be faster.
all things considered.
Probably cheaper.
Probably would be.
Yes.
Rather than
it
cut
may
and
be
reassembling it.
cheaper.
How do you stage them, and get them on
Yeah,
trucks?
and,
Maybe
and,
they could stage them in town.
I'll probably get out the way.
yeah, they think they're gonna stage it right where we
Yeah.
have, you know,
A helipad. And
Yes.
every space next to it, so,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, and right now they use that space with no compensation to the town or anything, so it's not. I don't think we ought to participate in this project without attacking them a little. Um,
Yeah, I like that.
Such a thing as they have, this is an interesting diagram, because they have ramps, so they can bring their trucks and stuff down in here. And they're saying that their proposed, station area is, they're out here. Somewhere in another map I have, it shows a staging area right out in the middle of the sediments, which I know concerns Ryan, and he will be in a discussion with them about water quality.
I wonder about, how many yards are they moving out, have we really said?
No, they haven't. All 262 pages never mentioned sediment testing.
Are they taking it out or just cleaning it?
We have no idea.
Okay.
We have no idea. And unfortunately, the only soils test they did was up by Clear Lake, and they said, well, that would be typical of what the soils would be, and it would,
Yeah, right.
yeah, it wouldn't, it just wouldn't. And so hopefully that's what we've heard. Well, it is also, this is the drainage of Leavenworth, and all 262 pages only talks about South Clear Creek.
Hmm.
And that's just a real, the source of your dumping here is not South Clear Creek. Anyway, so I could make a motion that we can extend as the certified local government, agency for this landmark district, that we send a letter to FERC and with the 3 points of, expressing support from the bypass, expressing appreciation of the fence that looks halfway decent, and requesting that they enlarge their area of potential effect because of the numerous cultural resources that actually sit to the south.
Yes.
Okay,
So I make that as a motion.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
All in favor? Aye. Against?
Okay, thanks, guys.
Yay, thank you.
And we, if we're gonna haul, we do have to do something with our hauling. Right. They're gonna haul some stuff anyway, so
Is there gonna be any kind of
Yeah.
pond up there once this is all done?
what?
Will there be any kind of pond up there or just the creek coming through?
Just the creek count.
Bridget and Ryan have updated it quite a bit since she started, so there's more things we can do for sure, but there's some things like we require them to tell us like which category of material they're pulling through town now based on the
Yeah, it's just that the
national.
last time I looked at it, it was a single hole, basically license.
Right.
So we have to decide how we're gonna handle a repetitive.
Yeah.
Process. Yeah. And yes, the rules of the road were nothing over 23 feet and we, we have permitted that. Escorted, because mostly the big stuff that's gone up to Cabin Creek has been escorted. By somebody, usually the county. Okay, next time we're gonna have the new National Register District.
Yes, so in your supplemental packet, there's also the email that I already sent you, but just a printout if you want it from Lindsay Fooling, explaining what the process is for next time that we'll be reviewing. We're basically approving the district that we just applied for.
Did you send that supplemental package by email as well? I don't have it.
No, but you don't have the ordinance or Jerry's email in your email, but you do have Lindsay's.
Yeah,
In the
yeah,
email, okay.
Do they also have the whole NRD packet?
I don't know if I sent that, because I scanned it for you, but I don't think I sent it to everybody. So.
It's huge.
It's big.
That's because Christine took every one of those buildings and actually wrote a little blurb history and. So you got. No, what they asked us to do was, we have 8 new ones, 9 new ones. But they asked us to identify all the ones that were already identified in the same area of those 9. And so there are 60 others. Wow. And Brent had pictures and Christine did the little history things. So tucked into this application is 60 extra pages. Holy moly. Yeah, holy moly, right. I mean, do we have a syllable on that?
I'm working on that one this weekend. But
Sure.
this week was busy.
Because we're doing an inside NRD for them too.
Do we need pictures of all those too for Silver Proof?
Yes, if they're there,
Okay. Got it.
but mainly Chris interested in their numbers, so she can start picking up their histories. Can you get to the numbers?
Yeah, I got the numbers.
Okay. Brent is amazing.
Good job, Brent.
How are you?
Yay.
Yes.
Just so you know.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you guys. I think it's.
Okay, do we have anything else? We do have some minutes here.
I have a consult that I want from you guys, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So the town is looking into purchasing and installing some pedestrian, not vehicular, bridges. At 9th Street, 14th Street, and where Clear Creek Drive comes off of Main. So across the creek at those locations, so just for reference, 9th Street is right next to the old school. 14th Street goes like where Dwayne Yusinski's house is, Rosen 14th, across the creek to the Mother's parking lot, which is actually a road, 14th Street.
Mhm.
And then the Clear Creek one would connect, we have that trail that runs from Cooper's. It would connect that trail across the creek, so that one we have to do some land use things, but. We're getting quotes for it, so we can have an idea of how much that costs. And my priority right now is the 14th Street Bridge, because it would connect a residential area to that commercial area, and it's, you know, probably the biggest span where people have to walk, like if they're on 13th or 14th, they gotta go to 15th and move back around, or to 11th. So, yeah, so our 2 options are timber or steel. Even the steel ones would have wood planking and a wood aesthetic, so you can rest easy there, but I just wanted to sort of give you guys these
Mhm.
booklets.
Mhm.
And you guys can sort of peek at the options here. I don't have enough for everybody. But if you wanna look at them, for the Mother's Bridge, that one is gonna be 50 to 55 feet long, so that does limit some of our timber options as far as the actual structure of the bridge goes. The steel bridges are a little bit
Yeah.
more versatile as far as length goes, but they don't hold up as well when you have to salt things regularly, so.
Do you salt the bridges then?
We probably would salt these bridges if they're used frequently and they're getting ice on them.
Do you salt the little arch one now?
That little wooden one by the.
I know which one you're
County
talking
will.
I don't
about.
think it-
The county takes care of that.
Cause that one never seems to be cleared, which is cool.
Yeah. That one is a little too narrow for Kevin to plow, so I know that he maintains the one that's at the lagoon.
Yeah.
You know, yeah,
Mhm.
That one's concrete deck.
yeah, that one's in the concrete deck.
So good.
So, you know, and this is just my current vision, we will definitely workshop with people, but I'm imagining a bridge at Mother's that is timber, the. The stringer, this size bridge, I don't know what kind of range necessarily, but it would have timber planking across it. And it would be approximate, like the appropriate width for a golf cart to go across, so pedestrian, but not quite as narrow as the one at the county building.
We want to be right. I would presume that the timber ones are probably more expensive than the steel ones, like, you know.
Yes, they did say that for beyond 40 feet, they start to get very expensive because the timber that you are purchasing is from older trees and they're a lot more expensive.
Yes, it's not spliced together, it's all one board.
Apparently. So the steel ones
Yeah.
get less expensive per square foot, the larger they get, but the wood ones get more.
How long of a span do we have, did you say?
The mother's one is 50 to 55 feet, depending on how we engineer it, so. How the embankments work out.
Didn't realize it was that long then.
I know, right? I was surprised too. It feels narrower, but
Ninth is narrow, just shorter.
it's pretty, there's quite a bit of like. Lead down to the creek on, especially on the mother's side of that parking lot, probably because people have been
You
walking down it.
could always build a
crossing on
retaining
tracks for a
wall.
lot.
Could make a retaining wall and get it to 40 feet if that's a break even.
Yeah.
But let's say anyway.
Abutment, that's the word I was trying to think of.
So we'll need to do the engineering for that. But from you guys, if you have any,
Steel's not all bad.
I thought steel might be okay, especially in the commercial district. The one by the old school, I think wood would be more
Wood.
appropriate.
Yeah, I missed that bridge
When did it go away?
And,
in two
we do
thousand
have to be
three, I
Oh,
believe.
really
recently.
careful
Yeah. The
of,
truck was on it.
sidewalk.
And it-
I mean, the reason that the one is the way it is by the creek is, in order, they had to get some sort of permission from the Army Corps or
Yeah.
something in order to put the bridge. We had to get Army Corps permission to put the one on the Rutherford Trail. So you may need to get Army Corps to put a pedestrian bridge across the creek, at which point you're into a whole little different kind of.
And do you recall the dam bridge, you know, we had to have that anchor so that the bridge wouldn't go if there was a flood, which.
Yes,
really-
exactly, you know, 'cause that-
So it's gonna get complicated.
Yes, it is gonna get complicated in that sense, because the one on the Rutherford Trail, yeah, they made us lift it, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And
That's fine.
actually, I'm glad, given what's about to happen, that we had
Yeah.
to lift it, and, then the one that the courthouse did, you know, it's got that arch, and that all has to do. If you're touching the
courthouse?
not the courthouse, the county building, the annex building. If you're putting any sort of something into the creek, like an abutment, the Army Corps really gets onto you. If you're just crossing the creek, we got away from them finally up on the Rutherford Trail by the fact that we don't have abutments in the creek.
Hmm.
So one of the reasons not to do abutments in the creek, quite frankly, is that it's not fun playing the Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah.
No?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe just a rope swing, you know, people want to swing over the.
Spear was telling me they were trying to convince mothers to do a drawbridge from their bed.
There you go.
Cause that sounds safe.
Yeah, well, it's probably safer than people crossing on the ice right there, so.
Do
Well,
Yeah, well, you need good
Oh.
rails, I'm not sure that we want to go fancy covers, you know, big spooky things,
Especially not if the mothers. love
Yeah,
that.
well, and, great timber arches, I don't think are us.
No.
You know, I think
There's some nice
Space,
faces.
because you're asking about the style, space not be sent.
Well, she said the steel ones are cheaper, cheaper
And,
than
you know, whether you're going horizontal or verticals,
Yeah, I was interested in your perspective on that, cause the ones in the county, I think are vertical.
They're
And
vertical.
the one, with like 7th Street is horizontal, and the one at the dam is horizontal.
but those are, the road
dams.
the one at Seventh Street is a vehicle bridge.
Right.
And all of the vehicle bridges have big horizontals. But what we did along the creek, up on Argentine is all vertical.
Right.
It's not a bridge, but it is the same sense of a fencing. I don't know, horizontal, vertical,
Whatever it takes.
Vertical is safer because it's harder to climb.
I like this.
What?
Vertical is safer because it's harder to climb. It
Yeah.
doesn't make a lot.
Mm,
And so that may actually be a serious consideration.
Yeah,
Because we have a lot of kids.
yeah.
And we
Yeah,
have
on
a
road
high
surfing.
bar, and if vertical is harder to climb, then
that's kind of thing.
that's
Yeah, there's a,
actually at
It's
least
natural selection.
there's a bridge in here,
natural.
he was pointing out the crack truss one, and I was like, no, not that one.
The what?
Because it has these like exterior things.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I think it looks terrible, but I was more thinking about like the children will immediately climb on that, so.
Yeah, and off the other side and, yeah. So, yes, it's probably verticals,
Okay,
but that's more of a safety thing than it is an aesthetic necessarily.
I think the bridge that isn't our bridge actually technically on Spring Street is vertical also, right?
The one at the end of Third, that's vertical.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, they're about to
Mhm.
spring.
And it's a Pratt truss,
Yes,
but ain't nobody climbing out on
no.
So, do we know anything about when we're going to repair our streetlights?
The base of it or?
No, the various lights that need to be repaired.
Yes, I don't have a specific timeline, but we have 3 quotes right now. And they're not quite, we gotta sort of look at them and figure out they don't like match each other, if that makes sense. They're not
Yes.
comparable at the moment, so we gotta figure out how to make them comparable. And then we're planning on putting it in front of the board on the 12th, so for approval of whichever contract.
Just combine all three of them, find what's compatible, and say this is what it's gonna be. Well, the difference, go through. The rest is something,
Okay, yeah, they're quite different, I think, so. I
But
haven't,
the scope of work is the scope of work. I mean, it's mainly a repair.
yeah, I have not looked at them like extremely thoroughly. I just received them and put them in a folder and then went to a conference, so Dennis said that they need to be worked on a little bit, so I can tell you what the specifics are.
Okay, because.
Did we not say specifically which light fixture to provide?
I don't know which
Okay.
specific things we need to fix or request or whatever from the vendors that provide it. We have 2 outside electrical companies that are from Denver that submitted bids and then 1 local, so.
Are they widely different in price?
Yes, I think so.
and then the scope, they're not matching. the
Yeah,
scope.
yeah, then the scope's not understood. I'm, reminded of the asbestos people at the school, and you get one for 12,000, the other for 56. There's something wrong.
There's something.
What's driving.
Yeah.
It's called go back to the drawing board. I remember that day really well, so.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case with at least one of them, so.
Yeah. It was interesting. It was the wrong question. Okay, cause it's in our face and we drive down our street.
The fence bid also, we got a couple of those for that, and those also don't match, but that's our fault, cause we were like, tell measure what we want, and they have very different.
What,
The split rail for
The
those
split rail
parks.
to the front, yeah.
Yeah, we also sort of were thinking about it, we probably don't wanna do fencing at the basketball court, because our plan is to sort of demo that whole area into a skate park in a couple of years, so. I don't know, putting a fence up there right now makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
So,
why pay for one thing when you're about to do another?
yeah.
Yeah.
So that might end up changing the thing, but
Okay, cause most of the streetlight stuff is repaired, those things. And then,
we gotta bug Sturgeon still about compacting the base, cause they did go and put some filler material, but it's already washed out and sunken, and we wanna make sure those lights don't fall down, so.
yeah, the lights, of course, are not held up by that.
Right,
They're
they're-
held up by their concrete that's below.
But it's washing out under the sidewalk as well, which is held up by
Yeah.
spoilers, so. Yeah.
But that's not part of the electrical bid.
No, it's not. That's a thing we're trying to hope Stars gonna do because they ought to, so.
Yeah, yeah, because they should, it was their stuff.
Okay, we do have some minutes here. Anybody's had a chance to read? Hey, did you need this? Did you get one? A copy?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I wondered if everybody got it or.
There you go. That was supposed to be in your rooms. Yeah. I gave Doug.
I won't be operating under your business name, so.
I don't have.
That's
I don't
probably, it's all of that.
This is so hard.
I think back that.
It wasn't me, it's the.
So it's an official,
So.
you see that, I didn't see it.
Well, I wasn't here, so I couldn't tell you. I can look at the typos.
Oops.
Is the town line flag still on? People
Is it?
can have it or do they have
I
to
have
have
it
it?
downstairs.
That's real good.
Okay.
Those jazz has some flags, so it's a small.
Well, I
piece
don't
of-
need them now.
Yeah, well, the whole school of flag store up there is quite a,
Yeah.
yeah. On who's who too. This is not.
So I did see on, old new business Kelly Baby, and there's no address on this, not sure what building.
What date are you looking at,
It is June 26th.
There's two.
Once you get 7 minutes, unless somebody sees something they want to change.
Who's your second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
I.
And G.
And July 10th too.
I don't have it yet.
You gave one to me. Who doesn't need it?
Yeah, no, I wasn't either of them.
No, that's else.
No, you weren't. I think it's you. Okay.
The thanks, guys. It's some a lot, business stuff. I like that we're gonna have a Thursday.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty
What
cool.
we spent. Heard.
More special.
More special.
Special word.
Now,
Yeah,
what
right,
I
exactly.
found in reading some of the stuff from other CLGs is that the people I think who would understand us best and we would understand them best is Lake City.
No.
And that doesn't surprise me, I mean, given their location and they, you know, it doesn't surprise me at all, but it's, it's some of the larger ones, and it's just, you know, it's living in an urban whatever, and it's a whole different kettle. Because we truly aren't an urban whatever. We're damn proud of it.
Okay, is
We always
anybody,
use more.
done with the July 10th minutes?
I didn't see anything.
Anybody, okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
There you go.
Shall we adjourn?
Yes.
Okay. What the heck?
What the hell?